everyone, and welcome back to the Raincoat DLC sub-story bonus episode stuff. In the last episode, we did the Fubuki side story, which was pretty good, even though it wasn't really about Fubuki at all. It kind of felt it was a little more about Halara, and that leads us nicely on to today, because today is Halara Day! Woo! Now, before we get onto that, I feel like, as someone who plays a lot of Kodaka games, this is the first episode I'm recording after the Nintendo Direct. How's about that 100 lines, huh? Yeah, wow, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say about the game. You know, it's a fair ways off before it gets released. Haven't really seen much of it, you know, it's like a minute-long trailer or something. Kind of looks, gameplay-wise, like an interesting fusion of Danganronpa, Lost Dimension, and like the battle mode of 13 Sentinels. All of which are games that have been brought up multiple times, or at least once in this game. By me, of course. Ironically. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of interested. Part of me hopes that it leans a little more on that Lost Dimension thing. If you don't know, and you genuinely might not, Lost Dimension, I guess, is weirdly niche. Like, the fact that I know about it makes me think, and I own it, I played it, makes me think, oh, yeah, no, a bunch of people must know about this, but I've never seen another person actually talk about Lost Dimension, so maybe not? But the point is, it's like a strategy, not quite an RPG, but it's like a strategy game more like XCOM than Fire Emblem. And your goal is to take your squad of like 12 or 13 people to the top of this tower to kill the big bad. And after you finish every floor, like you reach the checkpoint for that floor of the tower or whatever, you know, you complete like 5 missions, you get to this checkpoint, you know, that sort of stuff. You have to find the traitor amongst you. Among Us, yes. And yeah, just like Among Us and Danganronpa, it has like in like Danganronpa, there's kind of like a trial aesthetic to it. It is much less complicated than that. And you basically just choose one of the playable characters to permanently kill. And I think the fun thing about Lost Dimension is that you are not required to get it right. You can just kill a completely innocent party member, and, like, for no reason. And the game does punish you later on. If you get to the top of the tower and you still have traitors in your ranks, you will then have to fight them, kill them, and you'll have even fewer party members for the final boss fight. You know, normal stuff. What else was I going with that? Right, yeah, no, there isn't like oh, you got it wrong. Don't worry, try again. Like, no. None of that. And the game is designed to be very replayable, because you have to beat it like 2 or 3 times to actually get the true ending. And 100 lines, you know, with its whole, like, 100-day setup, kind of feels like it could be something like that. And, like, you know, the trailer itself is like, oh, the unavoidable reality of death. And it's like, maybe they'll go like that, but it does, and, like, this is also Kodaka and the Danganronpa team. It would not surprise me if they have cutscenes depicting the slightly cartoonish and graphic deaths of a lot of the playable characters. But if there's not, I could see it, you know, being like some of the deaths are optional, or there's like a certain number of people who will die, but you can kind of prevent it. Maybe they'll go the permadeath route that Fire Emblem has, where like you could go through the whole game and no one dies. Could. Or you'll go through the game and you'll lose like 3 people in one fight, and it's all your fault. It wasn't really like the game made that happen. Like, that's not a plot thing. You just got a bunch of people killed because you're a bad strategist. Yeah, I don't know. So I am interested. But just like with Raincode, I'm also going to stay away from any, like, publication about the game. Like, I am not going to follow it at all. I cannot stand knowing too much about games before I go into them, right? Let me have it fresh. I don't want to be spoiled on anything except from, like, stuff that they put in that reveal trailer. I don't want to see nothing. Anyway, that out of the way, will I let's play it? Maybe. I don't know. If you guys want, maybe I will. If I have time, maybe I will. But I will definitely play the game, that's for sure. Anyway, that out of the way. Halara! The Nocturnal Detective Agency receives a request to investigate an unusual drowning. Is it suicide or murder? Will Master Detective Halara be able to solve this odd and onerous case? Well, I don't know, but apparently it's raining cats and dogs. Only autosave is enabled for sub-stories. Thanks for telling me, game. Get to enjoy one of our awkwardly long loading screens. I mean, don't get used to this. There's only one more episode after this one.
Halara, do you know where the milk I put in the fridge went? I was saving it for my coffee.
What a way to start.
Beats me.
That's my seat, you know.
How much?
Huh?
How much do you want for it? I'll pay your asking price. Well?
You gotta be kidding. Fine. Just keep sitting there.
I will.
Huh? Someone's coming. I wasn't expecting guests today.
Person with the Danganronpa eyes.
Right this way. It's a bit cramped in here.
Are you the chief of the Nocturnal Detective Agency? My name is Tetra. Pleased to meet you.
What? Just like that one character in The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker? Interesting that you have a name but no portrait, though.
I'm the chief. That's just one of our detectives.
Oh, excuse me. Your detective was sitting at the biggest desk here, so I assumed that...
My seat gets stolen the moment I leave it open.
Apparently it's a very comfy seat, Yako, and I mean, to be honest, it looks pretty luxurious. Like, it's a pretty nice looking chair.
Let's sit down.
I was told you investigate murders.
We sure do.
A murder case. It's possible for us to handle it, but what we can or can't do depends on whether or not the peacekeepers have already gone through it.
I see. My father passed away in a rather bizarre manner. The peacekeepers declared it was an accidental death.
Alright. Father. Okay. Honestly, I was expecting, like, boyfriend or something, but okay. Father. Okay.
But I just can't believe it was an accident.
Daddy, if you will. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Apologies, Tetra. Carry on.
The peacekeepers usually try to declare any unnatural deaths as accidents. Why do you suspect that it wasn't one?
My father kept tropical fish as a hobby. One morning, he was found dead, drowned with his head stuck in the fish tank. Do you really think that could be an accident?
I mean, pretty unlikely.
He drowned with his head stuck in a fish tank? Can you describe the situation?
Don't say he's sleeping with the fishes. Don't say he's sleeping with the fishes. Don't say he's sleeping with the fishes. It's okay. I said it 3 times instead.
The fish tank is set rather low, so you can view it from above. My father was in a kneeling position, with his head dunked into the water.
Well, I was low. I was basically on the floor then.
That sure is bizarre. What did the peacekeepers have to say?
Or on a very low table.
They say he was electrocuted, and passed out when he touched the temperature control switch with wet hands. And he fell into the water and drowned, unfortunately.
I feel like that wouldn't ever happen, but I mean, I guess it's not, like, impossible?
Are you sure the cause of death was drowning?
Yes, that appears to be the case without a doubt. A trustworthy doctor did the autopsy.
I see. From what you've said, you can't really deny that it could have been an accident.
No, the problem is the room where my father passed away. It was obvious that someone else had rummaged around.
What do you mean?
Well, the room has lots of tropical fish tanks lined up.
Okay, so this guy wasn't just into tropical fish. He was really into tropical fish.
But on the day my father died, all of them were shattered to pieces. And of course there was water and dead fish all over the floor. Someone must have forced their way into the room to do something so terrible.
Damn, I got a serial fish murderer. It was a cat! Oh my god, that's where this is going!
I believe my father was murdered by whoever did that. This must be a murder. Please uncover the truth of my father's death.
What do you think, Halara?
Beats me. I wasn't paying attention.
I'm not getting paid, so I didn't bother to keep my ears open.
Don't lie. There's no way you couldn't hear us.
You can assume I don't exist, unless pay is involved.
I can pay. My father left me an inheritance.
Oh, don't mind my detective. Our rates are always reasonable here.
Then you'll investigate this case on my behalf?
Huh?
No, well, I won't, but, they might.
Yes, of course. As detectives sworn to protect this town, we can't leave any mysteries unsolved.
Thank you. I'm so happy I worked up the courage to come here.
The Nocturnal Detective Agency is here to protect the peace of Kanai Ward. You can always count on us. As for investigating this case, we'll check out the crime scene soon. Promise.
Man, thank God Desuhiko wasn't here, right?
Jeez.
I've been hitting on her left and right, huh?
That was rather reckless of you to promise.
It's not like I have a choice. I can't just abandon people in need. I'm Yaku Furio, chief of the Nocturnal Detective Agency. I gotta protect this town.
You know, hey! I like that, Yako. Have a bit of backbone, at least in some points. Stand up for what you believe in.
Do you even have a single lead to solve this case?
What? Of course. I'm a detective after all. If I proceed with the investigation, I'm sure I can find some kind of clue. But I'll need your help, Halara.
That depends on the payment.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I did think it was gonna just be the Halara show. Yako, Are you gonna show up and help us out too?
You know I don't have a lot of money.
And you know that I don't work for cheap.
Then, how about a deal instead?
What deal?
You can have my stupid chair, alright?
If you solve this case, I'll let you keep a cat here.
But they're allergic, Yako. They wouldn't be able to benefit from that. Well, I guess they would, because they just see the cat, but...
Really?
Yes, really. Hey, where are you going?
Well, I'm off to go find a good cat first, but then we'll go and do your case.
To the crime scene.
Hold on. The client just left. Why don't you wait until tomorrow?
Why wait?
Fine. I shall review the case's records until then.
Halara's fee is cheaper than I thought.
So I wonder how you found out about that one, Yako. Did you use your own detective's intuition, or raining cats and dogs? Oh, wait, no, if we're gonna get a cat for the office, then instead, it must have been a dog that committed the murders!
Thank you for coming. You really are willing to investigate the case.
Well, that's our duty at the Nocturnal Detective Agency. Your house is pretty big. Your father must have been well off.
Yes. My father owned a medical devices company. He contributed to Kanai Ward's medical advancements for years.
Medical advancements, huh?
I simply can't believe he met his end like this.
We'll find justice for him.
Thank you. I am in your debt.
Sorry, I hesitated there. I couldn't help but notice the weird flickering in one of those tanks. Graphical error? Or a clue?
This is my fiancé, Jaren. We've been living together for about a year now.
He looks like a guilty man.
Nice to meet you. I'd like to ask you more about the details later, but can we take a look at the scene for now? Oh, before that, do you have a photo of your father?
Of course. Here's a picture from when he was still alive.
Thank you. Halara, over here. I'll leave the investigation to you. It's a bit too cramped for all of us to be wandering about. I'll keep speaking to them outside. Talk to me when you're done.
Understood. Now, time to review the cards I've been dealt.
Alright, time to get down and dirty.
You definitely want to remember this.
Okay, sure thing, Shinigami. I mean, to be expected though, right? Of course Halara's the one who actually gets like a normal investigation segment. Like, we'll say, I'm really curious what Vivia's is going to be all about. Like, Vivia hasn't even shown up in any of these. Like, Vivia, what are you doing, my guy? I'm curious. I'm also a little bit sad that we're not going to get to do this with Yako, but, I mean, it would be a bit cramped in it. He'd probably just, like, stand here. And just, like... But he'd offer some commentary. I'd love it. Dusty door? What the fuck is this?
There's a sticky substance stuck to the door frame. Perhaps tape residue?
Okay. Sticky door. Weird.
All of the fish tanks have been shattered. There's broken glass scattered on the inside, which means it's certain someone smashed it inward. Why would someone do this?
Hard to say. I mean, presumably, like, something would be in... Like, they'd be looking for something inside one of the tanks, and they just, like, punch right through it. Because, what else are you gonna do?
I see.
The equipment and food for the tropical fish are placed together. Seems like nothing has been used since the incident. There's some dust.
Oh wait, that was actually a clue. And yet it wasn't voiced?
Right.
There are some stains on the floor. It is likely due to the water spilled from the fish tanks. Other than that, nothing else seems suspicious.
Okay, is everything just gonna be a clue then? But not necessarily everything's gonna get used?
It's a regular sliding window with a crescent lock. There are no suspicious marks on it. There's a small veranda outside. We're on the second floor, so any rain that falls off the eaves flows to the drain.
Okay, and yet that was voiced. I guess to say that no one got out this way.
An ordinary vent. There's some blue paint on the inner side of the frame. Looks like something rubbed against it. This may have something to do with the case.
Okay. Rub marks and blue paint.
What is this? There's a stain here that looks like a horizontal line. Upon close inspection, there appears to be a faint outline of the same stain along all four walls.
Okay. Kind of looks like it cuts across the door as well a little bit.
I've investigated the things of note, but
Yeah. How this all comes together, I'm not really seeing.
That's about all I can investigate for now. I should go talk to our clients before I observe the crime scene at the time the body was discovered. The crime scene has been
Forte
inspected,
fun.
Chief.
Thanks.
There are a few things I'd like to confirm.
Yes, please ask me anything.
Can you give me the details of when you discovered the body?
It was, I think, around 6 in the morning. My father usually woke up early for breakfast, but when I went to get him, he wasn't in his room.
I mean, yeah, actually, that is quite early. 6 o'clock for breakfast? Oh, well. I don't know, I'm just like someone who can't really consume anything for like at least half an hour before I get up. But like, hey, I mean, if you gotta get up early, you gotta get up early.
So I looked around and noticed Sugar barking at this room.
Sugar?
So there is a dog involved, huh?
That's the name of our dog. Hey!
No hesitation.
Sugar sure is happy. She's rarely friendly with anyone.
Oh, you got a vicious dog and you're just letting it run around?
She barks at me all the time.
Must know you're a bad dude, Jaren. Is this Sean Chiplock, by the way? Like, it sounded like he voiced, I think, the dying dude in the last case, right? In the Fubuki one? I know, sounds like him. Or you don't know, the voice of Taka in Dangan 1.
There.
Shall we continue?
Oh, sorry. Sugar was barking in front of the room, so I opened the door to take a look. There I saw my father. His head was in the fish tank. He was already gone.
I heard her scream and ran over. But what I saw took my breath away. The fish tanks were all destroyed. The floor was covered with water. All the tropical fish Father loved were scattered across the floor, dead. Were they valuable?
Father? Wait. Hang on. Are you like fiance? You're not like actually married, are you? You can't both be calling him father.
I'm not sure. I don't know how much they were worth, but the fact is, my father cared for them a great deal.
If the fish were expensive, do you think someone tried to steal them?
Are you implying my father's murder was an afterthought?
Yeah, it could be.
Well, I'm just considering possibilities.
There's potential that it was like maybe not an afterthought, but an unfortunate Danganronpa 2 Case 3-esque accident where something else was going on and then, oh, oops, guess I'm gonna have to slit your throat and tie you to a pole. Ha ha ha.
If they were going to steal the fish, I doubt they'd smash the tanks.
You're right.
No, they definitely didn't steal the fish either, did they? They're just dead all over the floor. Tragic loss of fishy life, by the way.
Do you know the estimated time of death for the victim?
I believe it was around 10 o'clock the night before.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it'd have to be either be fairly late at night or very early in the morning. And considering that this dude had like a routine, probably gonna be later at night.
When was the last time you saw him alive?
Right around 7 that night. I ate dinner with him. He went to his room after that.
Okay.
Does anyone else live here?
It's just me and him now. The servant left after making dinner before 7.
Tell me, what were you doing around 10 that night?
After finishing dinner with my father, I did some cleaning and washed the dishes. Jaren came to the dining hall around 8 for dinner. And then we watched TV in the living room until around midnight.
Yes. I know for certain we were together between 8 and midnight.
Alright. Seemingly has an alibi then.
Did you ever get up during that time? Such as to go to the bathroom?
I don't think so.
Were there any screams or sounds of a struggle around 10 at night?
No, not at all.
I see. That leaves me wondering who entered that room, when they did, why they smashed all the fish tanks.
And was it the dog?
The fish tanks are large and have thick glass. You'd think you'd hear them being smashed.
True. All I know for certain is that we didn't hear anything like that.
Alright.
Do you often come in and out of this room?
Not at all. Only my father used this room.
What did the peacekeepers have to say when they saw the state of things in the room?
They said my father was stressed out. That he lost control and smashed all the tanks himself.
Was he actually stressed out?
Truth be told, my father was lamenting over a prized tropical fish he had accidentally killed that morning.
Okay. Seems unrelated, but okay.
I thought he could have done something extreme, given how much he regretted his mistake.
Also a prized fish? Like, what did it win a competition or something? Biggest... Fuck, I don't know the names of any tropical fish. Biggest clownfish to have ever lived?
He did look rather depressed.
Still, my mild-mannered father would never do something like this.
Did you notice anything strange about your father during dinner?
He was sad about the fish, but he ate normally. I didn't notice anything in particular.
It's hard to think he was so distraught that he'd smash all the tanks on his own.
You're right. But that's what the peacekeepers told us happened.
I'll take another look around. For now, I'd like to ask you to leave the room.
So you're gonna do that thing, yeah? I'm counting on you. Let's wait outside.
Time to use that forensic forte. You know, as soon as it loads.
The trump card is still face down. Time to use my post-cognition to see how things were at the time the body was first discovered.
right? I guess we'll work around in the same order as before.
Even in post-cognition, traces of a sticky substance are on the frame. Some kind of tape stuck on.
Oh man, I've missed the... Oh, what a good track, man.
I see.
The tanks seem to have been smashed inward. It's not much different from the room in the present state.
I see.
At the time the body was found, many things were scattered around. Poetry. Could this sort of mess be caused by just a broken fish tank?
There are dead tropical fish everywhere. The whole floor is completely drenched.
Yeah, there's a clownfish. 2 clownfish. 3! I guess there's our proof they didn't want to steal the fish.
It's not locked. Anyone could come and go through here. Perhaps this is how the culprit entered the place.
Okay.
There's a dead tropical fish in the drain on the veranda. Why would that be there?
Okay. Interesting.
The paint stuck on the frame can be seen here.
Seems the stains on the walls were present when the body was found. I don't see any particular differences. No, the stains are darker than they are currently. Does that mean they were made around this time?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, they kind of look like they'd be water stains, right? But, you know, how could that really be with the set out of the room?
The victim's body is kneeling against the edge of a fish tank, with his head inside. Like the other tanks, this one is smashed up too. Looking closely, he is soaking wet.
Which would seem to imply, and like this obviously makes sense, right? The fish tank was broken after he died. Because otherwise, like, how would he drown in a broken fish tank?
It'd make sense if it was just his upper body. But for his whole body to be soaked is unusual.
Okay. Like he was submerged completely in one of the tanks?
I'm beginning to see the truth behind this case. That's all the investigating I need to do for now.
Damn, Halara, really? I don't know if it's all coming together quite yet for me.
Are you done?
What is that you got there,
The dog
Sugar?
has something in her mouth.
Hey, Sugar!
What's this?
That's Sugar's favorite toy. It's just a rubber hose tied up in a knot. Ever since she was a puppy, Sugar has loved playing tug of war with a rubber hose. So I still make toys out of hoses like this. But I don't think I made one for her recently. Where did she get it from?
Oh, huh?
Wow, that's interesting. Let me take a look.
Yako, I feel like you're about to get bitten.
Wait, don't touch it.
What's wrong?
Put that in a plastic bag without touching it directly. I believe it's evidence.
That's evidence?
Yeah, of course.
Consider it a precaution.
Shiny with dog slobber.
How's the investigation going? Are the peacekeepers right? Did my father pass away due to an accident? Or was it...
The answer is clear. This was no accident. but a murder.
Huh? Really?
What makes you think it's a murder?
My thinking.
It must be a murder because of... Okay. Well, the floors do have the murdered bodies of a bunch of fish. So... Okay, the window, which... did have a fish outside of it, so I guess, yeah, could be. The walls, I feel like the walls don't really set. I guess we'll go for the window? Because if there's the fish outside, that does imply someone was mucking around out there after the dude died. Because if the dude's body was, like, fully submerged or something... Or hell, I mean, if he wasn't fully submerged and it was just head in, tank broken, he just gets, like, flooded with water. Which is also kind of weird, like, I don't know, whoever's just standing around, like, breaking a bunch of fish tanks, or the body's just, like, next to him. But, sure, we'll say the window, because of the fish outside. What about it? I don't know, the fact that it's open, I guess? You can open it?
No, it's not enough to disprove the theory that it was an accident. Reviewing it more carefully.
Okay, that there was a little more detail in there than I thought there would be. Okay. No, okay. Let's give it a little more thought then. So it could be the fish tanks if we're going for the fish outside. Like, what else is on the floor? There's really nothing, right? It's just the fish and the water. The walls do have some weird shit going on, but I don't really know what yet. I'm willing to go the fish tanks. What about them? Well, I guess the fact that they were the fact that they were shattered.
The victim died with his head in the fish tank. Is that right?
Oh, right, obviously, doy! Because for that to happen, someone else would have had to have been in the room. God, that was a real not seeing the forest for the trees kind of thing, right?
Yes, that is certain.
As you can see, this fish tank was destroyed like all the others. That is far too strange. It means something logically impossible occurred.
Man died in an empty fish tank. Or drowned.
Impossible? What do you mean?
I shouldn't have to explain it. If the victim drowned with his head in the tank, then it had to be filled with water. But as you can see, the fish tank is destroyed, meaning it is unable to contain water. Like with the other tanks, the water spilled out when it was smashed, emptying it. So how could the victim drown in a fish tank that held no water?
Oh, now that you mention it.
The peacekeepers claim the victim was disoriented and smashed the fish tanks himself.
Which would be literally impossible.
But if the victim was still alive when he smashed the fish tanks, it would have been impossible for him to have drowned. In other words, the victim was drowned, then placed next to the fish tank to make it seem like an accident. The culprit must have believed this camouflage would be enough to fool the peacekeepers.
And it seemingly did.
So my father was murdered.
Although, you know, the peacekeepers don't really give a shit either.
Yes, there is no mistake about it. This is murder.
Hold on. If the culprit wanted to make the victim look like he drowned, why did they destroy the fish tank? Didn't they realize their cover would be blown? And plus, all the fish tanks were destroyed, not just that one.
It must have been part of their plan for the peacekeepers to overlook this contradiction. However, destroying the tanks required a lot of effort. If the culprit did so despite the contradiction it created, then we have to assume there was an unavoidable reason behind it.
Right. Like the fish tanks were the real target all along, or some such.
An unavoidable reason.
So, who is the culprit?
I must investigate further to find that out. I'll report back once I find the answer.
Yes, please.
Has anyone outside your family entered or left the house recently?
I don't think so.
Were there any tradesmen who came to work on your place?
I can't think of any.
Allow me to change the question. Have you recently done any remodeling or repairs to the home?
Oh, now that you mention it. The rain gutters on the roof were broken, so Jaren fixed them.
Oh.
He fixed the rain gutters?
Yes, he's an avid DIYer. He not only fixed the broken parts, but also checked the gutters around the whole building, which was a lot of work.
I see. That concludes my investigation.
What? Are you sure that's enough? Jeez, you're always off in your own world. I'm sorry about that. Our ace detective isn't very friendly.
Yeah, but I love him all the same.
That being said, I believe this case will be solved soon. Please be patient for just a bit longer.
Thank you.
Finished! Okay, now, how does it all become? How does it all come together? Still what I'm trying to piece together in my
Halara.
brain.
Just as you suspected, it could be the fiancé. Jaren has been living in the client's home and mooching off her since he got fired from his job a year back. He's in quite a lot of debt, too. At one point, he was spending almost all his time in casinos.
Wow, 2 in a row that are casinos.
He kept asking the client's father for money, but was always denied. Seems the father was also against their marriage.
So money is the motive.
I would have thought so.
If the father were to die, the daughter would inherit everything. So if he married her, the money would be his.
Makes sense. The thing is, that man has an alibi.
Right, presumably because he was with Tetra from, what, like 8 till midnight or something?
The victim's estimated time of death is 10 at night. There's no mistake that Jaren was with the client at that time. It makes no sense to suspect Tetra, since she's our client, so we have to assume his alibi is airtight.
Whoa, Yako. We always suspect the client at least a little bit. Well, I mean, I tend not to, but you should in these games. It can happen.
Right. I agree.
His alibi is perfect. Not only was he with Tetra at 10, but he was also with her for 2 hours before and after.
But, you know, I mean, generally the person who comes to you to start it off doesn't, you know, in a detective game, doesn't, you know, they're usually not the culprits. But again, it can happen. It has, and it will continue to do so.
So, as it stands, it's impossible for him to have killed the victim.
No, the alibi isn't a problem. It's possible if a certain trick was used.
He dressed up the dog as himself.
A trick?
But I still lack hard evidence. Perhaps it's worth rolling the dice here.
Hey, are you sure about this?
Well, just going with our gut and being like, you did it! And then we just wait for him to talk himself into a corner?
We'll make our move tonight. Let's go to the client.
Alrighty. Time to put my deductive reasoning hat on. Adjust. Ooh. There we go. You know, I'm honestly kind of surprised I haven't seen Halara eaten more candy based on, you know, that little one there. Not that candy, the you know, the loading screen.
Is it true that you know the truth behind this case?
That's right, miss. Allow me to explain. The key detail for this case is the victim's cause of death. Without a doubt, the victim died by drowning. But making it look like he drowned in the fish tank was camouflage.
He actually drowned in the guttering system!
Why would such a thing even be needed? Because it secured the killer's alibi.
You said that the victim's time of death was around 10 p.m. In other words, the culprit secured their alibi at the same time as they murdered the victim. Is that really possible?
Through a certain trick, it was possible to drown the victim even if the culprit wasn't there.
Is this thing that it's gonna be like the room fills with water or something? And the dude just died. Oh, that could be it. Because I said the markings on the walls seem kind of like watermarks. So if the old dude was like knocked out, dropped in the room, the water like flows in from the the ventilation. Not the ventilation thing, but it's like, well, I guess the ventilation thing. It's like let in. So it, like, while he's on the floor, knocked out, the room like fills with water, and then he just drowns because he's knocked out or something like that.
Drown him without being there?
The trick the culprit used was...
And all the sticky stuff is there to stop the water from like flooding out into the hall or something. Okay, the trick the culprit used involves, I'm gonna say the vent, flooded the room.
a method that can't disprove the alibi.
Damn.
Carefully.
Or I guess the hose flooded the room? Oh, maybe one
First,
sealed the room.
It
Okay, no,
involves
it is
this
this.
rubber hose.
That's Sugar's toy.
If you untie the knot, it returns to being a hose. This was what was first used in the crime.
How was it used? Don't tell me that's the murder weapon.
I mean, kind of.
If you check the vent, you'll see the color of paint scraped on there matches the hose. It was likely passed through the vent.
Someone put the hose in the vent. Why would anyone do that?
Yeah, that's the piece that I was missing. We needed to get the hose through the vent, I see.
It's nothing special. The hose was simply used for its original purpose.
Which does make sense, because otherwise you'd see, like, the water stains dribbling down from the vent.
Its original purpose?
One end of the hose was placed on the edge of the rain gutter on the veranda side. Prior to this, the culprit adjusted the rain gutter so that the hose could be inserted into it. The rainwater from the gutter passed through the hose, filling the room.
Huh? What do you mean? Halara, you think this place got flooded with rainwater?
I mean, if there was anywhere in the world where it could happen, it would indeed be here.
That would drench the whole place.
Actually, for a second I was like, wait, what was up with this being rain, actually? Couldn't they? Because the whole thing was just to blot out the sun, right? Because it surely could have just been normal clouds at that point. But like, no, the rain thing was there for like, we've got to move bodies ASAP, because otherwise the rain's gonna fuck them up. Right, no, never mind.
When the body was found, the room was, in fact, drenched.
But that was because of the broken fish tanks, right?
That's part of it. But the main reason was due to rainwater pouring into the enclosed room.
Wait, what do you mean? What's the point in flooding this room with rainwater?
The culprit's goal was to secure their own alibi at the estimated time of death. This trick was necessary for that.
I don't get it. Can you explain from the beginning?
Let's go over what the culprit did on the day of the crime, in order. First, the culprit mixed sleeping pills into the victim's dinner. While the victim was asleep, the culprit proceeded to prepare the trick.
Okay, so that's how we're gonna say he knocked him out. Okay.
Sleeping pills in his food? That reminds me. My father did seem sleepy shortly after eating dinner.
Ah,
After
correct
dinner,
guess from
the
Halara.
victim likely went to his room to lay down. The culprit then sneaked into his room and carried him out while he was asleep. That was how the victim was transported to this room.
At this point, you're sure he was still alive?
Of course. If the culprit murdered the victim earlier, then their alibi wouldn't have worked. The culprit had to murder him in such a way that would secure their alibi. The preparations were done in this room. After bringing the victim here, the culprit used duct tape on the gap near the door to weather strip it.
Weather strip? What's that?
It prevents water from leaking outside.
As I surmised.
What do you mean?
Let me explain. After weather stripping the door, the culprit started destroying the fish tanks. The culprit likely covered them with cloth to dampen the noise. Once he smashed all of them, he leaned the victim onto the fish tank. The culprit then moved to the window on the veranda and weather stripped the outside of it. Finally, they took the hose connected to the rain gutter and passed it through the vent to the inside of the room. Preparations in place, the culprit left through the veranda and returned to the mansion as if nothing had happened.
How does that complete everything? The victim was still alive at the time, right? When was he murdered?
The victim naturally drowned after being left alone for several hours.
Huh? How's that?
The rainwater from the rubber hose flooded the room in a few hours. The whole room was turned into a fish tank, this time filled with rainwater. And that is how the victim drowned.
The whole room was flooded?
Is it just me, or is Tetra's left eye a little different to her right eye? From this angle.
That can't be.
Like she's got main character eye and an NPC eye. Really interesting.
The proof lies in the stained walls. The day of the murder, the room must have been filled to that line with rainwater.
Rainwater killed the victim?
Correct. Only in this city could such an approach be possible. The rain never stops in Kanai Ward. This makes it easy to estimate the amount of rainfall to a certain degree. So it is not impossible to create this alibi trick with some calculation.
I think that's a bit of a stretch.
I'll say it while it's in my head. This is another pretty good example of using your setting really well. It's something that I complimented the main game for. I really like Kanai Ward as a setting, and I think pretty much all of the cases use Kanai Ward's uniqueness as like a motivator. Or maybe not a motivator, but as a part of the case, right? It's something that I was even like... You know, I'm aware that people do not like Case 3, but yeah, I think Case 3 is still overall my least favorite one as well. But I still think like Case 3 used Kanai Ward in an interesting way. Like, you know, it used its setting well. The point is, even at its quote-unquote worst, I think Raincoat did this quite well. And here's just another example of it.
Wouldn't it take at least half a day for the room to fill with enough rainwater to drown the victim?
I'm sure it would require more rainwater than usual to accomplish it. Which means you'd need to gather all the rain falling around this giant mansion.
Gather all of it? How?
It would require slight adjustments to the rain gutters. After that, the rainwater would flow to the veranda.
Adjustments to the rain gutters?
There would be plenty of water if all of the rain that pours upon the mansion is rerouted to this room. That explains how the culprit secured their alibi while drowning the victim. In the morning, before the body was found, they removed the weather stripping and drained the water through the veranda. If you check the drain in the veranda, you should find dead tropical fish that were carried out with the rainwater. The culprit smashed the tanks beforehand to prevent rainwater from being stored inside. Well, that's how I would have done it. But maybe the culprit didn't realize that before they started draining the water. Seeing the fish tanks filled with rainwater, the culprit panicked and smashed all of the glass to hide the evidence. They must have carelessly broken the one fish tank the corpse was leaning on in the process. Isn't that how it went, Jaren? I'll be direct. You are the culprit.
Hold on. Is this some kind of joke?
Is this some kind of twisted joke?
Why would I kill my father-in-law? That's stupid.
Well, here's some more evidence for you, Jaren.
But you were fixing the rain gutters a few days before the incident.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like as soon as we brought up the rain gutters, Tetra caught on there.
That's because you asked me to fix them. How does fixing some stuff pin me as the culprit?
Well, I think I laid out quite cleanly why it does, but I can do it again if you want.
That's crazy talk!
So you intend on maintaining that you're not the culprit?
Of course!
Then we'll have to ask our little friend for the answer. Come here, sugar. This is the rubber hose used for the trick. There are scrapes on its surface. That's the proof. I'm sure the culprit tried to dispose of it, tying it into a knot before throwing it away. But our friend here found it for us. Good girl, sugar. Only the culprit has directly touched the rubber hose. I'm certain his scent is still on it. Tell us, sugar, who do you smell on this?
Busted!
So, it is you.
I mean, I wouldn't really say that's decisive evidence, but, I mean, in the moment, am I right?
This is complete nonsense. I won't accept it. If I have to, I'll kill all of you.
Damn, you know, I was gonna, like, jokingly say that, but, Jaren, you don't stand a chance against Halara. Halara is gonna, like, flip their coin and it's gonna kill you. Like, like...
Hey, don't tell me that you're really...
I was so close to getting all that money.
Again, I was just about to say, yo, watch out, he's gonna pull a knife on us. No, he actually did. Okay, Jaren, I mean, prepared, I guess.
Calm down! Hey! Why me?
Why does this always happen to me?
I can kill the woman anytime. I'll start off with you.
Alright, dude, Jesus.
Damn you, detectives. This is your fault for sticking your nose into my life.
Actually, it's because your fiancé came to us, but that's splitting hairs. Just like I'm about to split your head in two.
Can you handle this on your own, Chief?
I'm pretty bad at this sort of thing. Please help.
Shut up! I'll kill... Ow!
Perfect.
You saved me.
I never thought it would be like this. What am I supposed to do?
It's alright, you've got a dog.
You're not alone.
Huh?
That's what she's saying.
Yeah, your dad and fiance, maybe.
If you ever need help,
Your fiance's not
come
dead,
to us.
but, you know.
The Nocturnal Detective Agency will always be at your service.
Thank you.
Thumbs up for the dog, I guess. Slightly, awkwardly long load screen, and... Yeah! Yay!
As promised, you can keep that cat here.
I can't, I'm allergic.
I don't need your help. That's what the cat is saying.
Come on, this cat thinks it's some sort of hard-boiled detective? Well, I suppose I don't mind.
This city is a difficult place to live, even for the animals.
Right. I hope we can keep solving the mysteries here to make this city a better place. And make it a nicer place for them to live too.
I sincerely hope so.
You're so cold to humans, but you like animals.
Are you teasing me?
See, there you go again, making that scary face.
I can't even see it. Like you've got your head like kinda tilted, and I'm closing my eyes, but I know the face you're making.
Seeing you play with the cat, you look kinda cute. It sure would be nice to see more of that smile around here.
Alright, Yako, alright. Yeah, you good boss, you.
I hope you keep using your powers to change this city. I know you can do it. For their sake, too.
That depends on the payment.
Come on. Well, how's this? Consider it the reward for this case. And maybe you could ask for permission next time.
Thanks.
Ah. And there we go. Done and done. Raining cats and dogs. End. Yeah, now I just need to... Was I right? Was that Sean? Yeah, of course it was. Damn you, Taka! Turn to a life of murder after you died in Danganronpa 1. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, that was great! I really liked that one! And I didn't have as much to say through it. You know, it felt like it was a pretty... You know, a light version, sure. But, you know, it actually felt like we were doing a real case there. And, I mean, the case itself was, like, you know, unique, weird. I liked it for that. But I also really liked just having Halara and Yako together a little bit. You know? Because I said this, what? I think it was at the end of last episode, right? The Fubuki one. Because that one gave me a lot of, like, the crew interacting. And, like, one of the things that I wanted, perhaps a little more of, was the squad interacting with Yako specifically, just so I could really buy how much they clearly respect him, right? And especially that ending one there, like, that ending for this one, like, that's one of those things that's just, like, it lightly hammers home the connection that Halara would have with Yako as well. That was really good. It was a lot less focused on Halara as a person, which, to be fair, I think is fine. I think the game itself does a very good job of going over Halara as a person, which, to be fair, was true of Desuhiko as well. And his one kind of... Well, it didn't really go into him, like, exploring him further, or, like, it more so put him in a situation we hadn't really seen him in before. Which was not the case with Halara, because Halara and Vivia were the ones actually actively doing detective work with Yuma. So, you know, it was nothing new for Halara here. Arguably, Halara having the soul spotlight was new, because, like, in Chapter 1, they don't get the spotlight to themselves. In that little moment in Chapter 3, they're technically sharing it with Desuhiko. And that's basically it. I mean, arguably, you could be like, oh, in Chapter 4, Halara has, like, the whole trying to resuscitate Yako thing, but obviously, like, after the fact, they Like, they knew Yako was gone, but that's not really, yeah, but they kept on doing it for everyone else's sake. But that's not really detective work, that's more like medical knowledge. Not even medical knowledge, just being like, yeah, no, this guy's dead. He's dead. But whatever. My point is, I did like that one. It was different to the others in that it didn't need to do the same things. Because, like, I don't know, I'd say overall, Vivria and Halara, regardless of, like, my subjective opinion, were, like, objectively the two best of the 4 detectives. Whereas Desuhiko and Fubuki, they could have used a little bit more. And I think their sub-stories did give them what they wanted, or what they needed a little bit. And this one just, well, it also did what Fubuki's more so did. This one and that one just kind of gave me what I wanted, you know, more what I wanted. Put emphasis on the right word. Getting some more of these interactions, you know? And it was like a pretty aight case in and of itself as well. Beyond like the novelty of it being weird, kind of cool. Yeah, it like actually made a degree of well, I mean, no, it completely made sense. Just in the weird raincoat way of like, obviously this would never work in real life. Because can't I warn? Yeah! So yeah, no, that one was good. I have yet to be let down by one of these, and we've only got 1.5 left? Again, I still don't really know what Yako's is gonna be like. But hey, we're gonna find out. And I'm gonna find out next time. And you've probably already seen it. But hey, maybe you haven't, actually. Maybe you didn't want to pay the price for the DLC. Because, like, I feel pretty comfortable saying this now. Like, I've already spoken about the pricing, right? I think it was at the end of Desuhiko's one. As much as I'm enjoying these, I do think they're a little overpriced for what they are. Like, just a little bit. I know, it's like, I don't know, looking at it this way, right? I got the bundle for all 5 at, like, basically £15. And I'm thinking, like, £3 for each of these? I mean, here's the thing, right? This is where it's, like, conflict between me as a consumer and then me as, like, kind of understanding the creative process. Because, like, if I think about it this way, for what we get in here, like, from the production level, again, speaking, like, over here in Britain, £3, totally worth it. For basically fully voiced stuff, unique, like, cutscenes, we get occasionally, I think there've only been 2 so far, but we get occasionally, like, new portraits as well. Like, for all of that, we get, like, an hour of extra content, and it's not half-assed content either. £3 is probably worth it from a production level. Like, they probably lose a lot of money making these the price they are. But from a purely, like, consumer perspective, it's like, it's the same thing as I said for like the pricing beforehand, right? After Desuhiko's, where I'm thinking I'm paying like a third or a quarter of the game's original price for like 4 to 5 hours of extra content in a game that's like, what, 40, 50, 60 maybe hours long. Like, it's just not worth it in that sense. Like, it's really good. And realistically, again, like, they probably lost money making this DLC. And it is really good, but I don't know, I feel like they either should have been a little bit cheaper or a little bit longer for the same price. I really do. Like, maybe an hour and a half. Like, if they were 2 hours long, which I feel like... Because you want to pace them well, right? You don't want them to overstay their welcome, and I feel like 2 hours might then be pushing it a bit too much. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really torn on this. I'm really torn. Like, I don't regret buying this at all, but I feel like for other people... Yeah... You know what I mean? I don't know, it's really hard to say though, right? It's like, at the end of the day, is it really that much money to spend on this? I mean, not really, if you've already bought like a full £60/60 to, well, actually, I think it's also $70 games nowadays, isn't it, over in the States? Or, no, wait, no, that's like more of a triple, well, maybe not a triple A, but like a mainline, not mainline either, well, like big publisher games, right? I know a couple of people have been like, wow, Nintendo releasing $70 games? And I'm like, man, I mean, over here, video games have been like, especially from Nintendo, have like released to be like 50 to 60 pounds, like, for literally as long as I can remember. I think the last time that wasn't the case was like early Wii U days. The Switch has had very consistent pricing. It's just that, you know, the economy in the UK has changed a lot for the worse in in like the past decade. So, you know, they have like increased in value, but like they've still been like £60 all the time. But whatever. The point is, like price-wise, I'm kind of torn on it. I don't hate it. I don't think it's like disgustingly predatory. And honestly, like I'm not even that opposed to it being the price it is, but I feel like depending on who you are, I could totally justifiably see you having a problem with this DLC priced the way it is. But, yeah. I mean, you can also buy them individually as well, right? And, like, for that price, I feel like if you want to buy them individually, might not be a bad shout. But then, I mean, if you really like one of them, and then you want to buy, like, the others, you kind of, like, fucked yourself a little bit, but... it is what it is. Anyway, enough of that rambling. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I mean, you've probably already seen it, so you probably didn't enjoy it as much as I did, but... You know what, close enough, right? Close enough. And I'll see you in the next one for the final Raincoat episode, which is a little, sad, actually. I feel a little melancholic about that, but... yeah. See you guys then. But until then, goodbye.